welcome to How to Read Your Natal Chart Part 2. Today we're going to be talking about the elements and also the modalities of the zodiac signs so that we can better understand the zodiac wheel. First of all, the elements, we're talking about ancient elements. So that would be fire, earth, air, and water. Since there are 4 elements and 12 zodiac signs, it's going to repeat itself 2 times. So that means that each element actually has 3 zodiac signs for that element. We start at taking a look at the zodiac wheel again. We see that we start with Aries. We're actually going to go counterclockwise is the way this works, and all the way back around to Pisces at the very end, the last sign of the winter. So Aries is fire, and then Taurus is earth, then Gemini is air, and then Cancer is water, and then it's going to repeat itself again. Question you might have is with the pentagram, we see that spirit is actually the 5th element. And you might ask, why do we not have the spirit as one of the elements in the zodiac? Excellent question. Glad you asked. Love to answer that question. The reason is that the zodiac wheel is actually a picture of the cosmos, and the cosmos is a manifestation of the spirit. So all the other 4 elements are actually a manifestation or expression of the 5th element, which is spirit. And that's why with the pentagram, the spirit is up at the top. All right. So moving on, you're going to see how the element of the sign combined with the modality of the sign combines to give you this unique quality. All right, so moving on from the elements, the next thing that we want to talk about is the modalities, which has to do very directly with the seasons of the zodiac signs. So again, let's pull up that chart. When you see the first 3 signs are designated to the spring, and then you have the summer, the fall, and the winter. So 3 signs for each. This, instead of divided up into 4, like the elements, this is actually divided up into 3, and it's very specifically has to do with the 3 parts of the season. So the first part is cardinal, and that's the beginning of the season. The next part is fixed, and that would be like full on, exactly what it sounds like, right in the middle of that season, fully embodying that season. And then finally we have mutable, which is the end of that season, and it's transforming into that next season. Okay, so each of the signs embody one of those 3 qualities. The cardinal signs I think of as like an upward movement. So this is this quality that is goal-oriented, it's ambitious, it knows itself, it knows its opinion, it knows where it's going. It's very focused on getting to where it's getting to, and it's moving upward, it's growing. So with the cardinal signs, we actually have Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Aries, I think of as like a firework. You set off that firework and it shoots straight up into the sky. Like it's going where it's going. It's not thinking about anything else. It's not doing anything else. It's not being influenced by anything else. It's moving in an upward motion before it's going to explode at the top and everyone can see it, right? So that's Aries when you think of fire, harkening back to the elements. Aries is a fire element and it's upward moving. So that's where I think of like the firework shooting up in the sky, very focused, very direct, very doing what it's going to do. And then the next cardinal sign that we have is Cancer. Cancer is a water sign. It's very strongly linked to like the moon and the ocean. So when I think of Cancer as an upward moving quality and as a cardinal sign, I think of like the rising tide. So it really is like it's focused on this goal and it's moving and it's growing. And you also think of like the waxing moon. So the moon is growing into like the fullness of the full moon. And it really is like stroke after stroke, just focused on this expansion and this growth and this moving upwards, this moving into something, right? Okay, and then with Libra, Libra actually I think of as a tornado, because Libra is an upward movement of the air sign. Okay, so when you think of like air, it's moving upwards. A tornado, you have this heat that's down at the bottom, and then it's being raised up into the center, whipping around in the tornado. And then finally, Capricorn. Capricorn is an earth quality, and it's represented best by the symbol for Capricorn, which is the goat, or it's one of the symbols for Capricorn is the goat, and the goat is climbing the mountain. So we have this mountain goat who's slow and steady, like focusing on like this upward movement of achieving, reaching to the top of the mountain. Second, we have the fixed signs. The fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. With Taurus, we have Taurus is an earth sign and it's fixed. So imagine a garden. Taurus is this garden, and it's also, I like to think of the symbol for Taurus as the bull. You think of this bovine in a field. It's very beautiful. It's very comfortable. It's very in harmony. There's this ecosystem, and the ecosystem is living within itself. It's not focused on becoming more than what it is. It's not focused on getting anywhere like a cardinal sign. It just is in and of itself, and it's beautiful in what it is. Leo is best represented by, I would say, its ruler, which is the sun. You could also think of Leo as like a fire pit, because Leo is a fire sign, right? But it's fixed. So it's this full blaze, right? It's not growing into something. It's not like a matchstick that is just lighting. You're not just lighting this fire. This campfire is in full force. It's in the middle of its burn. It's burning bright, and it's burning fully, and it's fixed. It's staying right where it's at. For the sun, our solar system orbits all the way around the sun, and the sun is actually the fixed point of our solar system. For Scorpio, we actually have a fixed water sign. So what is fixed water? Well, it's actually ice. And I was talking about water previously being an element that really dares to go with the flow. It dares to like trust its environment around it. With Scorpio, we don't see that. We don't see something that's going with the flow or that's trusting its environment. Scorpio is ice. Scorpio is fixed. Scorpio is frozen in time and space. And I like to think of Scorpio as like this lake that's frozen over. And anytime we know that there's a lake that's frozen over, most of the time at the bottom, there's actually still warmth. There's actually still life. There's actually still things happening, and it's not completely frozen. But from our perspective on the outside, this is the quality that Scorpio has as a fixed water sign. It's this frozen, this still appearance and quality. And lastly, we have fixed air, which is Aquarius. And when I think of a fixed air, and when I think of Aquarius, Aquarius is, among other things, the sign of enlightenment and the sign of the collective, and reaching out towards friends and towards our brothers and sisters, and being part of like this community where we care about everybody around us just as much as we care about ourselves. And so when you think of like this fixed air, what I see is Aquarius sitting and breathing as a practitioner of meditation. So he's sitting there, or she is sitting there, breathing in, breathing out, like organically with the environment. But there's this quality of stillness within the meditator that is just sitting with the world and sitting with themselves. And it's not about movement, but it's about acceptance. So finally, we move on to the mutable signs. The mutable signs, we have Gemini, we have Virgo, we have Sagittarius, and we have Pisces. Mutable is kind of this awesome characteristic of transformation. So if we remember, the mutable signs is at the end of the season and it's transforming, it's actually shifting into another season. So with that, we have this quality within the mutable signs of being adaptable, being flexible. Like the mutable signs are the chameleons of the zodiac wheel because they can actually make themselves look like other signs. They're willing to and capable of imitating or taking on the characteristics of whatever is needed at that time. So when you look at the different elements, we'll go over them and you can see how that manifests. So the first mutable sign we have is at the end of the spring, and it's Gemini. Gemini, when we think of like Gemini is an air sign, and when you think of mutable, adaptable, like moving back and forth, air is the intellect, we think of communication. So Gemini is actually the sign of the twins. It's a great sign for communication, and it really has this flexible and adaptable quality, like a conversation. When you're talking to somebody and they're throwing it right back at you, you catch it, you throwing it back. That's air that's moving back and forth. Okay. Second, we have Virgo. Virgo is flexible, adaptable, moldable, movable earth. And that's actually represented by the body. I love Virgo because it's actually this sign of the mind-body connection. This is why Virgo is a sign for health, among other things. But it's actually, Virgo is actually well represented by the human body itself. So we are here physically. We have this earth quality, but we're not a tree. We're not rooted deeply into the ground and sitting there. We are moving around, and we're an incredibly adaptable species. So for the next one, we have Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign. So with a mutable fire sign, there's a couple different images that can come to mind. You could think about a forest fire that's going wherever there's timber and air for it to consume. Or you can think of, I think preferably, I like to think of Sagittarius, which is represented by the centaur. And Sagittarius is also known as the truth seeker. So we see the centaur, and he's half horse, he's half man. The top half of his body, that's a man, is holding this bow and arrow, and he's shooting up at the stars. And it's this beautiful, beautiful image of this cry within humanity to find the truth, and to find the truth in the stars, like to find the truth out there. It's ruled by Jupiter, which is this planet of expansion, which I'll talk about the ruling planets in another video. But it's this quality of wanting to understand, wanting to know, seeking, this burning passion of seeking to understand the truth. So I think of the tip of the centaur's bow and arrow, the tip of the arrow being lit on fire. In civilizations where they used bow and arrows in warfare, a lot of the time they would dip like the tip of the arrow into oil and set it on fire, so that when they were shooting it, they were essentially like these little stars of fire that were shooting through the air. Finally, our last sign, Pisces, mutable Pisces. Love, love, love Pisces. Pisces is a water sign and is the last sign of the zodiac wheel. So with Aries, we have birth. With Pisces, we have death. Pisces, we have return to the spirit. It's also the dissolution. So Pisces, you could think of it as like, they call Pisces the great dissolver. And Pisces also has this quality to it of being just the last sign in the zodiac wheel. Every sign kind of like builds on the sign before it. And so with Pisces, we have kind of like a little piece of every single part of the wheel. So Pisces, as this mutable, adaptable, flexible, changeable sign, is really able to mirror back to all the signs that sign. And that is how how Pisces is just so adaptable. And I'll do an entire video on Pisces. Love Pisces. I'm a Pisces rising over here, holla. But when we think of the water, I actually think of Pisces as a stream. A stream kind of goes, it's enough water to create a force, but it's not enough water to like really override what the structure and the foundation is that it's pouring itself over. So in that way, it's very easily influenced and shaped and moved by the terrain around it as a stream. And then when you think of Pisces as the consciousness being turned to the spirit, it all kind of comes back together nicely in this phrase called the stream of consciousness. Okay, so Pisces is our stream of consciousness. And that actually sums up the modalities. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks.